divorced dad now, while you can. Having a bit more money is certainly helpful, but there's a limit to it. The living expenses my husband gives me are always $500. Honestly, it's not enough. He's in my heart. I wish he would give a bit more, but it would be cruel to ask him for that. But despite being a full-time employee, my husband's take-home pay is only $3,000. Is his company really okay? I can't help but wonder about his low salary. Knowing that I can't ask for more, especially with that cheerful face of his, I can't say anything more. And there's another reason I can't ask for more. I've asked for more living expenses before, and my husband's reaction was intense. Are you telling me to give you more? Do you have any idea how hard I'm working with this low salary? I'd only discussed it because I thought our situation would get tougher with our daughter, who'd just been born, but my husband was furious. Certainly, I should have considered my husband's situation before speaking, but at the time, I was too overwhelmed with childcare to think about him. Well, at least consider changing to a job with a better salary. Stop bothering me. My current job suits me just fine. Who don't even work. Shouldn't meddle. I'm sorry. My husband is generally quiet, and people around us describe him as a mild-mannered person, but that's only when he's outside. Inside the house, he acts like he's in charge and is rather domineering, so to speak. He's what you'd call a different person at home. If I say anything that might upset him even a little, he gets angry immediately, just like he does now. This became a bit of a trauma, and I started speaking with caution when talking to my husband. Mom, are you okay? Huh? Oh, I'm fine. Thanks for worrying, Nancy. Yeah, I work from home, but taking care of my daughter and doing housework makes it difficult to find as much time as I'd like for work, so I don't earn as much as I'd hope. In those daily struggles, a little angel like my daughter helps heal my heart. Mom, I'm being good. Do your best. She said this while bringing a cup filled to the brim with orange juice in her tiny hands. Thank you, Nancy. We'll go shopping together once I finish work, okay? My daughter's smile is so adorable as she nods with enthusiasm. I absolutely don't want to make this child go through any hardships. If I'm earning less, I just need to work harder to increase my income. But with my daughter's help, I've been able to focus more on my work. And then one day, I'm home. Nancy, I bought you a toy. It's the one you've been wanting for a while. At Power and Sea. May had never bought a toy before, had bought one for our daughter for the first time. However, when our daughter saw the toy handed to her by my husband, she said, Mom bought me this same toy. She showed it to him. Then my husband's demeanor changed dramatically. He snatched the toy from our daughter and forcefully threw it towards her. Luckily, it didn't hit our daughter, but the thought of what could have happened sent shivers down my spine. What are you doing? Shut up. Our daughter burst into tears. Perhaps exacerbated by this, my husband grabbed our crying daughter and, with a swift motion, raised his right arm. Realizing the danger, I instinctively shielded my daughter. Get out of the way! I shouted. No, I shouted as my husband swung his raised right arm directly towards my face. A heavy, dull thud echoed in the room. Then, without saying a word, my husband went to the back room, changed into casual clothes, and left the house again. Looked behind at that moment, I held my daughter tightly. "Mincy, are you okay?" I asked. Though she wasn't sobbing like before, it seemed that our daughter had felt fear at the sight of her father's unfamiliar actions, as she trembled slightly in my arms. Once I made sure our daughter had calmed down, I went to the bathroom and noticed, "Oh, I have a bruise." A noticeable bruise. Epsa created some prairie. It wasn't severe enough to warrant a hospital visit, which was a relief, but I couldn't understand at all why my husband had become so angry. Could it be that he didn't like that I had bought our daughter a toy, or maybe he couldn't accept that it was the same toy? Regardless, the distrust I felt towards my husband after this incident was not something that could easily be erased. The thought of something similar happening again in the future is something I really don't want to think about. 2 hours later, my husband returned. And despite making eye contact with me, he didn't say a word and went straight to the bedroom, carrying his pajamas, and then headed to the bathroom. After he came out of the bath, he went directly to bed. I had some anxiety that something might happen again, but I felt relieved that he went to sleep right away. I decided to sleep in the living room with our daughter. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of the door slamming. It seems like my husband had gone to work. The events of yesterday came to mind, and I couldn't help but sigh. Beside me was our daughter, sleeping soundly. I gently stroked her while strongly wishing that today would be uneventful. 3 months have passed since that incident, and we've been able to live without any further incidents. My husband continued to work hard as before. I took care of household chores and our daughter while also working from home. And life returned to normal. I'm home. Today, I bought a Mont Blanc cake from that popular bakery everyone's been talking about. Come on, let's have some. Thank you.
Daddy, where's mine?
Sorry, Nancy, there isn't one for you this time. It's just for Mommy. I promise I'll get one for you next time, okay? Since that incident, my husband has changed dramatically. He became more talkative, and his domineering attitude at home disappeared. He became kinder to both me and our daughter. Perhaps that incident had changed his awareness. However, there's still one thing that concerns me. It's the moment when I receive our monthly living expenses. My husband's salary remains low, but despite that, he now gives his entire monthly paycheck as our living expenses. This is for this month. Even though my salary is low, this should be enough, right? Wait a minute, you're giving me the entire amount again. We don't need this much. I can cover the shortfall with what I earn from working from home. True. But, isn't it a problem if I only give you $500 for our living expenses? People would laugh if they found out. It's unsettling. Even though he has changed, he's like a completely different person when it comes to this. At that moment, I felt an indescribable sense of unease. It was then, "Hey Dad, want to take a bath together?" It's been a while. Sure, let's do it today. In our daughter's hands was my husband's pajamas. Nancy? It was a sight I hadn't seen in a while. Since until recently, my husband and our daughter used to take a bath together every day. However, since that incident, our daughter had been keeping her distance from my husband. Of course, they hadn't taken a bath together during this time. So, I was surprised when our daughter asked him to take a bath with her. As I watched the two of them head to the bathroom, our daughter briefly looked at me. Her eyes at that moment seemed to be trying to communicate something to me. About 10 minutes after they entered the bathroom, our daughter came out first. Then she told me that Dad was going on a business trip starting tomorrow. Mom, Daddy's going on a business trip from tomorrow. A business trip? I didn't hear about that. Until now, he had always informed me when he was going on a business trip, but this time he hadn't. It was decided suddenly. Suddenly? When and where are you going? It's a bit far away this time. It's an important and confidential business trip. I had never heard of a business trip that needed to be kept secret. Despite feeling uncomfortable, I decided to trust him. Despite feeling uneasy about my husband's inconsistent words. I went to bed that day as usual. Then, the next day, I was awakened by some noise coming from the living room. When I peeked into the living room, my husband was getting ready for his business trip and said, "Sorry, did I wake you up?" "Are you leaving already?" He said, "Yeah, as soon as I arrive there. I have to start working." "I want to go with plenty of time. It's good to be early, but it's still 5 o'clock. "Are you going that early?" "He's just an employee, you know." He said, "I don't want to be late, so I'm going a bit early." With those words, my husband left for his business trip. Everything about my husband's actions felt suspicious. I thought to myself, there's definitely something going on. And that's when it happened. Suddenly, our daughter woke up and said, "Let's divorce Dad now." I couldn't help but utter a strange word. Because our daughter had just woken up early in the morning and told me to divorce Dad. Why would our daughter say something that even adults would hesitate to say? I asked her to explain what she meant, and she said, "You see, Daddy is trying to say goodbye to Mom." "Huh, say goodbye? Is that true?" I didn't doubt what our daughter was saying, but it was hard to believe that my husband was thinking of such a thing. However, our daughter was looking straight into my eyes, and her gaze was so serious that it was hard to believe she was only 5 years old. To this young but determined gaze didn't seem like she was lying at all. I said, "All right, I understand. Nancy, get ready right now." A few days later, my husband called me in a panicked tone. "Hey, where are you right now?" He said, "When I came back from my business trip, no one was here." "Your stuff was gone." "What's going on?" "Explain it to me." He said, "Welcome back. How was your business trip? I bet going alone wasn't much fun, was it?"
OJ.
"Don't try to deceive me. I know your business trips were all lies."
All of my husband's business trips had been lies.
I said, "What are you talking about?"
There's no way my business trips were lies.
"If you're so curious, why don't you contact the company? That way, everything will become clear. You can find out if I'm lying or if you're just mistaken."
Should we really contact the company?
I said, If I said that, he thought I wouldn't believe it and wouldn't contact them, right? So he said that so confidently, didn't he? But you see, there's no doubt that he's the one lying. The one lying because I've already confirmed with the company, and then they asked me if I knew that you've taken 3 days off starting today, but I had no idea. My husband let out a small surprised sound on the phone. My husband, who had left the house claiming it was a business trip when it was just a vacation, had spent 3 days moving from place to place in his car to ensure that no one would see him. Are you surprised? My husband probably didn't think I'd go this far. Indeed, the old me wouldn't have doubted my husband's words about his business trips and wouldn't have thought of contacting the company. But this time was different, and it was all thanks to our daughter. Your business trips being lies were told to me by Nancy. Nancy, don't be ridiculous. There's no way Nancy could know something like that. You're probably the one who put these ideas in her head. Isn't that right? That's absolutely impossible. You know it too, don't you? Even though Nancy is only 5 years old, she pays close attention to everything around her and observes us as well. She sees what we're thinking and what we're trying to do right now. Despite being just 5 years old, our daughter has a somewhat mature way of thinking and a broader perspective, probably influenced by TV dramas. Our daughter was extremely fussy as a baby. I thought it would pass quickly as she grew up, but in her case, it lasted longer and was worse than I imagined. During those times, I used to watch TV dramas while trying to soothe her. And even now that our daughter has grown up, she continues to watch TV dramas as if it were a matter of course. From the latest dramas to old ones, and even 2-hour mystery dramas. If there's something she can't finish watching, she records it and watches it later. And it has reached the point where I too am amazed at how much our daughter loves dramas. Perhaps because of that, her way of thinking and speaking naturally became more mature. You said it before, didn't you? Your duty to protect your family. That's why you should understand your family better than anyone else. I understand you and Nancy better than anyone else. In that case, you probably understand what I'm about to say. Of course, in that case, I won't hold back. I'm going to divorce you. What? Vakinius to the word divorce. I had uttered caused my husband to vehemently object. What do you mean, divorce? He exclaimed. Why is it coming to that? What don't you like about me? The situation became quiet as I pressed the issue, confronting my husband and saying, you don't understand what I'm saying. Well then, let me explain it to you. That the whole situation had started when our daughter expressed her desire for us to get a divorce. At first, I was baffled, wondering why she would say such a thing. But then she mentioned the word goodbye. It was a word she'd picked up from watching TV dramas. She had a particular fondness for mystery dramas, which often included scenes of someone passing away. It seems that the daughter, while watching such scenes, intuitively felt that causing harm to others and as a result, them not being able to breathe, was not a good thing. So, she said, Mommy, this woman said goodbye and this man did too. Is this a bad person? I realized that the word goodbyes my daughter used meant that someone would stop breathing. When she told me Addie is going to say goodbye to Mommy, I wouldn't have understood it if I hadn't watched dramas with my daughter. And if things had continued that way, my life would have been taken by my husband. Do you really think I would do something like that? It's not about what I think. It's the truth, isn't it? Don't be ridiculous. Why would I need to stop my wife's breathing? Besides, you're quite something. You're going to divorce me just because a 5-year-old said so. Stop making a fool out of me. It seemed like everything I said was in vain. In that case, I had to show my husband irrefutable evidence. If you're going to say that, then fine, I'll show you proper evidence. Evidence that you tried to take my life. I hung up the phone and sent the images to my husband's email. Soon after, he called back. Why would you? He asked, surprised. What I sent to my husband was the plan he had stored as data on his phone to suffocate me. The details were written meticulously. When my husband returned from his business trip, he planned to take me and our daughter out for a drive, claiming it was a family outing. He intended to give us drinks laced with sleeping pills and leave us in the car. He intended to make it look like a murder-suicide, where he would be the first to discover the scene. It was a plan that seemed inconceivable for a person to execute. By the way, this information came to light thanks to Nancy. It was from the incident when Nancy took a shower with him a while ago. Here, our daughter, who had come out of the bath ahead of us, quickly came over to me and handed me my husband's cell phone, saying, "Mom, take a look at this." What was displayed on the screen revealed the entire extent of my husband's plan. There, a litany of complaints about me was written. Despite being employed, my husband was frustrated that I, working from home, earned more. It was enough to hurt his pride as a husband and as a man. This accumulation of grievances had turned my husband's pride into a bundle of jealousy, and eventually he began to believe that if I were no longer around, he could preserve his pride. He started researching ways to eliminate me from his life. "Did you snoop through my phone without permission?" It was until Nancy told me. The reason our daughter knew about the contents of his phone went back quite some time. There was a time when Nancy asked my husband if she could watch a TV drama. However, because my husband was also watching TV at that time, he didn't allow her to watch it. Instead, he gave her his mobile phone and told her to play a game or something. At Harry West, when Nancy opened the phone to play the game, she encountered a screen she had never seen before. It was precisely the elaborate plan my husband had carefully detailed to eliminate me. It was identical to what she had seen in a TV drama before. It was then that Nancy understood what my husband was thinking and planning. Even so, it doesn't give you the right to invade someone's privacy like that. Can you really say that considering what you were planning to do? Do you understand what you were about to do? Well, I'm grateful that I trusted Nancy. Otherwise, both she and I might have been in danger. After that, my husband abruptly ended the call. Right after, I received a message on my phone. To that message, it said, "Don't think it will end like this." I have a plan too. 2 hours later, my husband actually came to my parents' house. "So, this is where you are. How did you know I was here?" "I knew your destination was already decided. Going to your parents' house is obvious." My daughter was trembling behind me. "Go to the back room, Nancy." Elise, I didn't expect him to come all the way to my parents' house, but since he was here, I had to gather my courage and face him. "So, what did you come here for?" You didn't come to take us back, did you? That's exactly why I'm here. We're a family, so we should be together. It's only natural. Together, just with the person who tried to eliminate me and Nancy. Stop fooling yourself. We continued our heated exchange. Don't worry about that incident anymore. I've changed my ways. Like from now on, the three of us will live happily together. It's for you and Nancy. That was definitely a lie. His eyes revealed it. I've said it before, but I'm getting a divorce from you. I've even prepared a lawyer. So, even if you have it, it's meaningless unless I agree. True, but it won't come to that. What? I showed him something. What do you want by showing me this plan I had recorded? Are you trying to blackmail me with this? Even if you do that, I won't get a divorce. I won't resort to threats. Doing something like that would make me just like you. What I did was report everything, along with all the evidence, to the police. The police, of course, acts when someone's life is in danger because of their spouse. They can't just do nothing. The moment he heard police, my husband's expression changed dramatically, and he tried to grab me. I hurriedly tried to close the front door, but he forcefully stopped me. You don't mess with me. My normally quiet husband had transformed into a different person. His anger was overwhelming, and I couldn't restrain him with my strength. Mommy, I heard my daughter's voice from behind. She was so scared. It's okay, Mom will protect you no matter what. As I said that, I felt a surge of strength, as if it came naturally. Was it the power of a mother trying to protect her child? I tried my best to close the front door, resisting my husband's strength, but his power was beyond what I had imagined. It's no use. Just then, something happened. I heard a voice saying, "What are you doing?" And at the same time, my husband screamed and was pushed backward. I wondered what had just happened and looked outside through the small gap in the front door. I heard voices saying, "Are you okay, Emily?" And Father. He'd appeared just in time. "Dad, why are you here?" "You said you were leaving on a business trip today." "I happened to forget something, so I came back to get it." "But seriously, what's going on here?" "Oh!" My husband, perhaps overwhelmed by my father's presence, collapsed to the ground without a word. It's no wonder. My father is quite tall, standing at 6 feet and 2.8 inches. In addition, my father, who dedicated himself to boxing during his school days and still goes to the gym, has a muscular body that doesn't make him seem like he's in his 60s at all. If any young troublemakers would avoid crossing paths with my father, and my husband had no chance of resisting. "Why are you here? And what were you planning to do with our daughter?" Planning to leave with our daughter and granddaughter. My husband couldn't bear the situation any longer. He tried to leave while shedding tears. However, in the next moment, several men caught him. "Don't move." "What's going on?" He resisted. "Let me go." The resisting husband was subdued by several police officers and taken away. That's a relief. By the way, why did David come here? He came for a somewhat extreme final farewell, didn't he, Barbie? My husband, who had been reported for attempting to harm me and my daughter, was the reason we had to move. During that time, the four of us, including my parents, decided to move to a distant place just to be safe. Cousin entrusted the divorce papers, child support, and property division to the lawyer, so I wouldn't have to see my husband again. Eventually, we got divorced. It seemed my ex-husband had found another job to pay child support. He wouldn't be leading a decent life for a while. On the other hand, I was living happily with my parents and daughter in our new home. "Nancy, take this to your grandparents' place," I said. "Okay," she replied. "Be careful not to drop it." I added, "I will," she said. There was no more stress in our lives, and every day was filled with smiles. I sincerely hoped that these happy days would continue forever.